next on Northwest Outdoors. Take an eco-nature tour on the waters of the Inside Passage near Campbell River, British Columbia.
Now what's happening here is that the eagles are coming down and picking up the bottom fish that are being swept to the surface. Black bears don't have a true hibernation here in British Columbia on the west coast anyway, so they sort of go in and out of this sleep period during the winter, but they do come out.
Also visit Duncan, the city of totems.
Every totem that we have here has been actually carved by someone in our own area.
And then see the bridge aboard the BC Ferry, Spirit of British Columbia. Your Northwest Outdoors is next. Broadcast of Northwest Outdoors is made possible in part by O'Loughlin Trade Shows. Puyallup, Portland, and the Denver Trade Shows are proud supporters of public television throughout Washington State, placing an emphasis on education for the great outdoors. By New Holland Tractors of Yakima. With a full line of tractors to fill every need, New Holland Tractors have been supporting Central Washington farmers for over 55 years. And by Kershaw Knives of Portland, Oregon. Makers of precision tools and cutlery, Kershaw Knives continues to support outdoor programming and outdoor activities throughout the Pacific Northwest. The magnificent beauty of Whistler, British Columbia. This is truly an outdoor paradise. On last week's show, we explored in and around the town of Whistler, just 75 miles north of Vancouver, BC. We found this charming town to be a treasure chest full of fun activities to do in the outdoors.
Fish on, what we needed.
From there, Northwest Outdoors took a BC ferry to Nanaimo on Vancouver Island, and then headed north to the fishing town of Campbell River. The livelihood of Campbell River has largely depended on its sport fishing industry. But recently, efforts have been made to take advantage of the spectacular scenery and wildlife of this area. Painter's Lodge is one who has recognized that added family involvement is an important part of the future of a lot of coastal resorts. That's why they have entered the adventure tour business. Wilderness tours are becoming increasingly popular and are designed to bring the sightseers close to the wildlife and rugged landscape of these coastal areas. We begin part 2 in BC on the waters around the town of Campbell River.
Today we have a eco tour planned, and we have a break about halfway through, a washroom break, a complimentary coffee and hot chocolate.
Last year we got into the adventure tour business. We use Zodiac craft, 24-foot Zodiac craft. It'll take 12 passengers. And we offer a variety of different types of tours. We do eco tours, which are a 5-hour tour. They do the surrounding area up around Quadra Island, where you'll see all kinds of marine as well as bird wildlife, black bears, eagles. You can see orcas, a variety of marine and bird life.
What these hoods are, these are your life jackets, and I'll turn this one, here we go. They have your protection should you end up in the water. They also keep you nice and warm. Now, you may find it necessary to put up the hood early in the morning. It's a little chilly. In this is the case, this is how it works. We'll just zip this gentleman up. That goes up to the top, Velcro over. Now what happens, it's like riding a motorcycle with a hood on. It fills up full of air, puts a lot of stress in the back of your neck. What you want to do is cut that air down by pulling these are elastic. You just pinch them and slide these up. That contours the hood to the shape of your face, puckers your cheeks up really nice. And your goggles would go around the outside, okay? And that would cut down the wind filling up in here.
It's a great example of the northern Gulf Island wildlife and nature experience. We do focus on the nature, but there's also the spectacular scenery that we've got around here.
Is this something that you're more or less pioneering in this area, or is it something that's been going on all over for a long time?
It's been going on the west coast of Vancouver Island for a few years now, quite a few years now, but we pioneered it last year in the Campbell River area.
We have a stop about 2 hours into our trip, a little place called Rendezvous Island. And on the way there, we hopefully will have some wildlife in the water. We'll be looking for black bears along the shore. Now, Quadra Island has a population of about 3,000 people. These homes along here are for the most part, year-round homes. Now, this is April Point Resort. Its focus is on ecotourism. This is Copper Bluffs, a popular fishing area mid to late June for the Chinook salmon. The white color we see on the rocks here is bird guano, actually, from the nesting birds. But the copper is oxidized on the surface here, comes out as a green, kind of a turquoise green color. And the copper is a softer ore than the surrounding rocks, so we get these pockets that are created. Now it continues, this cliff continues into the water. It's 140 feet deep below us right here. Now Browns Bay consists of an RV park. The Orca Warrior, especially constructed to transport salmon from the farms to the plant here in good condition. And so what he does is he starts off with salt water in the hold, like a giant saltwater aquarium, and ice in the water together. They call it a champagne mix, and then he pumps oxygen into the water to make sure that the fish stay healthy on the journey. Now this is on our right side is a salmon farm. This farm's just been relocated here. From time to time the farms need to be moved, so they're completely portable.
Now this is a little deserted native village called New Church House. Back in the early 50s, the federal government, under the Indian Affairs, relocated a band of First Nations people called the Hamathko Band to this location.
It seems around every corner there's a surprise, and in this cove Jack threw out some fresh fish for the resident eagle. He was all too willing to oblige.
Coming from the right. Yeehaw! There's something about that, you know, you can do that 100 times, and every time it's special, isn't it?
Halfway through the tour, a stop at the Rendezvous Island Lodge for a hot chocolate and a restroom break is much appreciated.
Now what's happening here is that the eagles are coming down and picking up the bottom fish that are being swept to the surface. These fish are called hake. It's about 400 feet deep here, right below us 340. And these fish get swept up from the bottom. They get the bends just like you and I would, and actually they die. Their stomach comes out their mouths and their eyes bug out, and they flip along the surface, and these eagles just come here every flood tide and dine on the fish that are washed to the surface. Now it takes a considerable amount of skill to pick a fish up on the water anyways, but to pick one up in this moving tide, now the tide comes in surges, so the guides call them pushes. So when you get a strong push of the tide, it brings up more bait or more of these hake. And so from time to time you'll see large groups of eagles leave the trees as 20 or 30 of these hake float by. Now, a lot of people that I bring here have a hard time believing this is the ocean, and that just the water's flowing in between this gap, trying to fill up Butte Inlet behind us. But near the end of the month, around the 25th of this month, we've got a tide that's almost double this speed, where being back here in the back eddy, in the slow water, really isn't the slow water. It's really volatile back here. But today we can sort of relax knowing that the boat can handle anything that these waters put out today. You can see the water up there is actually above us, and it funnels down through here. We're just going to pop through here. Just hang on to yourself. We're going to get a big tug here. There we go. So when it's really running through here, it's not a place to bring a sailboat or a reed boat. John Wayne used to frequent this area in the 60s and 70s. Black bears don't have a true hibernation here in British Columbia on the west coast anyway, so they sort of go in and out of this sleep period during the winter, but they do come out. And but now, this time of the year, they'll be fattening up as soon as the berries are happening. I'm just going to try to get just a tad closer.
The sights and sounds around Campbell River are quite diverse. With sport fishing, nature tours, and many other types of outdoor activities, this part of Vancouver Island will delight all who visit. From Campbell River, we headed south to Duncan, the city of totems. It seems everywhere you look, you see a totem pole. Northwest Outdoors paid a visit to the Cowichan Native Village on the banks of the Cowichan River. Here you will find many displays of native carvings, demonstrations, and entertainment experiences.
Well, we're here to share culturally and traditionally about who we are as a people. And one of the things that we realized is that as human beings, we assume about other human beings and where they come from and what they might be about. So we decided that instead of having people assume one thing or another about who we are here in our Cowichan area, that we would like to share who we are. So we share at all times culturally and traditionally of our background, our history, and hopefully also to where we're going as a people. We're very proud of our village. We were known as Native Heritage Center. And in July of 1990, we actually had our official opening. And a year and a half ago, we decided, so that people knew where we were and what we were about, is to change our name to Place, which is Cowichan. Every totem that we have here has been actually carved by someone in our own area or our own carvers as staff members here.
This is called Zunaqua. Zunaqua is the wild woman of the woods. This is a story that is told to us right from when we start walking, that we were not allowed to play in the woods by ourselves, that we had to have an adult or our parents with us. If we ever made it out into the woods on our own, Zunaqua was out there to get you. And if Zunaqua ever caught you, she would tie you up with cedar rope. She would put pitch on your eyes so you couldn't see where you were going. She would take you home. She would cook you and eat you, or she'd feed you to her husband.
Charlie George is a tour guide with the village. His job is to make sure visitors understand the stories behind the totems.
Looking at the story pole, on the very top of the pole you will see a thunderbird. In the middle, a killer whale, and at the very bottom, a frog. The thunderbird and killer whale design has been adopted as our Cowichan crest. So my family would wear this as our emblem, for this story took place here in Cowichan. It was believed that many years ago, a large whale had lodged himself in the mouth of the river down in Cowichan Bay. And this whale was eating all of our salmon. And for my family, they would travel throughout the summer months to gather food and store it for the winter seasons that were coming. Not finding any salmon in the river, they had to travel further up and down river. When they reached Cowichan Bay, this is where they found the large whale. Some of our warriors went out on canoes and they were going to try and defeat this whale. For my people, we believe that the killer whales carry supernatural powers. So what had happened was when the warriors were out on the water, the whales had drained all of the strength and energy out of the warriors' bodies, leaving them defenseless, that they had died out on the water. So my family that was left on the beach, they began to cry. They were crying out because they had lost some of their food and some of our people to this whale. So they started to cry out and they were praying to Zinqua. Zinqua is our gods of thunder. They prayed for 4 days and 4 nights. On that 4th day, Zinqua answered our prayer. To help my people, he had transformed himself into a large bird, which we now call the Thunderbird. And Tsinkwa flew down into Cowichan Bay, picked up this large whale, packed it off towards the mountain, laying it down below. And to celebrate the captivity of the whale, my people gathered and they feasted upon this whale. At the very bottom of the pole, you will see the shape of a frog, to show that you are talking about Cowichan territory. Here in this area, we are surrounded by mountains. All of these mountains look like they're little frogs hunched over.
From Duncan, we headed to the Schwartz Bay ferry docks for the last leg of the journey. When you stop and look at the scenery around a ferry terminal, it can be quite an eyeful. The Schwartz Bay to Tsawwassen ferry allows riders many coastal views of Vancouver Island.
Welcome aboard the Spirit of British Columbia. Our sailing time to Tsawwassen, 37 kilometers south of Vancouver, will be about 90 minutes. During the trip, please do not remain on the vehicle deck. Move up to the passenger decks and enjoy the many services available on this vessel.
Welcome to the bridge of the Spirit of British Columbia. My name is Captain Ulrich Choch.
The bridge of the ferry Spirit of British Columbia is quite a place to visit. This vessel is considered one of the new super ferries that sail in this area. Weighing in at nearly 14,000 tons, it transfers almost 500 vehicles on this 1.5-hour trip.
Position is the green square. The green square is by differential GPS, global positioning systems. The red line is our recording, what we did, and the white dotted line is the truck we're running good.
Sandwich is gone.
On the next Northwest Outdoors, visit the home of Larry and Doris Robinson in the Nile Valley near Yakima. They have created a backyard bird sanctuary.
The basic thing is providing the things that are necessary, the food, water, shelter, and a place to raise the young.
And then head to Priest Lake in Idaho for some lake trout fishing.
Oh yeah, look at that. Look at the way those fish are built. Look at the shoulders on them. Look at the colors on that fish. Look at the orange and the white in its fin.
Tune in for the next Northwest Outdoors.
These are just gorgeous, gorgeous fish.
Broadcast of Northwest Outdoors is made possible in part by O'Loughlin Trade Shows. Puyallup, Portland, and the Denver Trade Shows are proud supporters of public television throughout Washington State, placing an emphasis on education for the great outdoors. By New Holland Tractors of Yakima. With a full line of tractors to fill every need, New Holland Tractors have been supporting Central Washington farmers for over 55 years. And by Kershaw Knives of Portland, Oregon. Makers of precision tools and cutlery, Kershaw Knives continues to support outdoor programming and outdoor activities throughout the Pacific Northwest.